Hello and welcome back to the Wicket Trading Podcast. I'm your host Levi, as the usual, and we've been good to you this week. Got 2 episodes out, and today we're going to look over Australian cricket, just primarily. Fraser McGurk came out in the news and said he isn't disappointed by the result of him getting left out of the World Cup squad. Look, I still don't know what Australia missed out there. I know he won't get a game, with obviously Warner being our best opener in all 3 formats, Travis Head, Mitch Marsh, and he's not a number 4 down bat. He can't bat through the mid order. He's a top order bat. I do understand that, but I also understand is the experience you get from the World Cup, it outweighs everything else. I know you can go out and play games outside the World Cup, but the amount of value he will learn being in this team will be unmatched. I think to be able to get mentoring from Warner, from Head, from Travis Head, learning from Mitch Marsh. I think the big 3 from Australia, like the dominant T20 players, to be able to experience world-class T20 cricket. I think we're not giving him a chance, which is disappointing, I know, but I know he won't play, but I'd love to see him in that squad and be able to learn from best best T20 players. And look, it only helps his future. Yes, he can play as many games as he wants, but to have the best coaching available, to have the best players around him, boost his future for the better. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't know if there's games scheduled around the World Cup, maybe the 100, if he's playing that. I don't think he's playing in that. But that's my take on the whole situation. Obviously, yeah, a bit disappointed. We still have a pretty good squad nonetheless. Tim David, Cam Green. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how Cam Green does. If he can keep his form where he's batting 4 in the test, or if he can reconfigure himself as a T20 player, who knows? Josh Inglis, Glenn Maxwell. We know what Maxwell's going to be. Josh Inglis will be big for him if he can start and keep playing. Obviously, with Matthew Wade being in the squad, who will probably be our main keeper. Whether Josh Inglis can get a run, whether he's a better bat than Wade, don't think so. Is there a chance for Josh Inglis? Maybe. I know they were playing him as a sort of number 6 bat, as like a more of a fielder, and as well fielder bat instead of a keeper bat. So I don't know there. But it'll be good to see if Australia can try to go for the back-to-back series. It'll be interesting to see, obviously, with the squads being announced, also the groups being announced. Australia's group of England, Namibia, Scotland, Oman. Look, there's only one challenge in that group, and that's England. As much as I pain to say it, there's really only one challenge, and that is that England squad, who struggled of late in T20 cricket. Who will come in the top 4? Probably Scotland feels a 3rd, and then Namibia 4th, Oman 5th in that group B. That's probably one of the easier groups in this sort of 4-group configuration of the World Cup, and then that just means that those Australia and England move straight on. I don't think there's a challenge from either side. And then my take on Group A, you got India, Pakistan, Ireland, Canada, and the US. I think this is pretty similar to Group B. India, Pakistan take it out. It'll just be who's the better of the 2 this year. Ireland will finish 3rd, and I reckon the USA will finish 4th, with Canada 5th. India, if India can get back to the best T20 cricket as they were playing last year in the World Cup, I think they won 10. They were 10-0 and somehow still managed to lose. I think they'll be wanting to go one bigger, and I reckon this is the year they can do it. If not, if Pakistan somehow finish on top of this group, could we see a Pakistan grand final? Don't know. I think their squad's looking pretty strong this year. If Harris Valve comes back and plays cricket for them instead of, trying to find his way out of the squad, obviously he didn't play Test cricket this year to play the BBL. That'll be interesting. Yeah, it'll be like whoever finishes top 2 of those 2 out of India, so top out of those 2 between India and Pakistan, I reckon will go all the way, because I'll just show who's playing the better cricket currently. Group C though is probably the 2 probably the more even group. Group A, so Group C and Group D, probably the more even in terms of the top order. Apart from New Zealand in Group C, I think they'll just dominate that group. You got West Indies, Afghanistan, Papua New Guinea, Uganda. Like, I don't see New Zealand dropping a game unless it is to the West Indies. And then it'll just be whoever finishes second in that group between West Indies and Afghanistan, which could go either way. I think history shows that West Indies should win it, but Afghanistan can play good cricket on their day. I think what they showed against Australia last year, what they've shown in the past, they're not against India. Like they're not a walkover, but they're also not the best team in their group. They're probably not the top two team in their group. So we'll see how they finish off. I think New Zealand. I think as the order's pronounced, it's just how it should be. New Zealand finished on top with West Indies second, Afghanistan third, Uganda fourth, and Papua New Guinea fifth. And then Group D is an interesting one. A lot of mid-ranked teams in that group. Well, not like mostly mid-ranked dominant. You got Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and the Netherlands. The Netherlands aren't a walkover. Sri Lanka and Bangladesh have been in the cricketer scene for a while now without any luck, so it'll be interesting to see how they play this year. Whether they can provide some results in the park or whether they're still just that bottom nation cricketing team. South Africa, though, they should just dominate this div again. Similar to the New Zealand story in Group C, they should just absolutely dominate. Nortje should just take poles upon poles, and I don't think anyone's got the bowling capacity to put South Africa under pressure. And it just shows that I think that these two groups, Group C and Group D, just favour the top teams between New Zealand and South Africa. So that gives them easy wins straight to the Super 8. The second team, though, is going to be a toss-up. Now, it just depends. Obviously, we're playing in the US, so not really common for anyone. Can Netherlands produce like they produced last year? They actually bet South Africa last year. Can they do that again? Can Bangladesh rewrite their history and be able to provide wins on the board? Can Sri Lanka play the brand of cricket we know they can play? What they played against Australia 3 years back. Can they get back to that? This will be the tail of the World Cup, and we'll find out very early on in this Group D whether if these three teams are good enough to play in a Super 8 and which one can take it to South Africa in the group and gives themselves the best chance of the Super 8. Because I think if South Africa wins each of these games convincingly and the team that finishes second obviously they beat convincingly, it would be a real disappointment for the World Cup knowing that that second ranked team is just going to be a walkover in the Super 8. And especially when they're playing in that Group 1 of the Super 8 and they could be playing India or Pakistan and playing New Zealand and whoever finishes second out of Australia and England. Like, that's a tough challenge. And if that's the Netherlands or Bangladesh, that's going to be a tough ask for them. And then, yeah, you got Nepal in that group. Nepal aren't much, I'll be honest with you. I don't see much in Nepal. I don't see them winning a game. Similar to Papua New Guinea, they shouldn't win a game. Look, I know it's a World Cup, but there's some teams there that just won't get close. Uganda, Papua New Guinea, Canada, Oman, Nepal, they just would not get close. They just don't have talent. They just don't have players. In 10 years, maybe. In 5 years, probably not. Next year, no. This year, no. So yeah, we'll see how this World Cup goes. I think this World Cup will be the testimony of can Bazball work? Can Australia go back to back? Can India repeat last year and go one step further and win? Can Pakistan go back to one of the top T20 teams? I think there's a lot of arcs out of this Group A and Group B, and this will be the four most dominant teams, and we'll see what happens. I think the money's in Group A and the money's in Group B. Whichever one of them performs well will win the World Cup, is my claim. They're the two most dominant groups. I think they rule out the bottom three teams. I think Group A, Ireland, Canada, and US won't make it, so bit stiff for them. And then maybe Scotland and Oman won't make it either, which is unfortunate, unless England play really bad cricket, which can happen with their type of game style. But I just see, I just see a whitewash for Australia, England, Pakistan, and India in those groups, and New Zealand and South Africa should just dominate their groups by a street. Also, the World Cup doesn't start till June, which actually end in a month's time. We'll cover most of the games here on the Wiki Train. And yeah, just for something here as well. It looks like it starts with the oldest rivalry in international cricket, United States and Canada, which surprised me. But they'll start first, June 2nd for anyone in Australia, and June 1st in America. We'll cover every game of the World Cup, and I'll give my recap on that. But enough of the World Cup for the moment. We're going to look to the Sheffield Shield. Now, obviously, we're in the off season of Australian cricket, but that doesn't stop the transfers going around the Shield cricket. Obviously, a lot has happened. We'll start with New South Wales picking up homegrown hero Nick Maddison. Josh Philippe returns as well, or moves over to New South Wales, and that just adds to the batting. They lose Baxter Holt and Jason Sangha. David Warner goes, obviously, because he's retiring from red ball cricket. And it's not a bad squad, but it's a squad that's struggled over the last 2 years, obviously playing younger people through the academy. It'd be interesting. You got to look like the looks of Sean Abbott, Jackson Bird, Oliver Davies, who's a great up and coming player, Chris Green, Moses Enriquez, Hayden Kerr. It's a good squad, but they've struggled over the last couple of years to be able to win games and actually compete in this state comp. So can they find their feet again and go back to the dominant powerhouse that Australian cricket knows of New South Wales, where it's a feeding system to the Test squad, or will they still be a bottom two team? And for Queensland, they add a lot of young kids in, and they lose some of their experience with Joe Burns, James Bazley, Matthew Kuderman, Will Pretchwood, which will be tough for them, but it's a Queensland we know. It's a dominant Queensland team. We know they just are one of the top three teams in the Sheffield Shield, obviously with WA being the top, and South Australia probably up there with Victoria. Can they keep their form going after losing these big names and transfer these kids into this team using Angus Lovell, Lockie Hearn, Callum Vidler, and you still got your guns with Mark Secchi, Jimmy Pearson, Xavier Bartlett, who's just been awarded a Australian contract. So you might see him not playing much. Mitch Swepson again, another good spinner. Can they keep their form and transfer it into the year? Can they hold their form and go play finals? It'd be interesting to see. South Australia pick up a few big names of Mackenzie Harvey and Jason Sanger. I love Mackenzie Harvey. I think he hits the ball. He hits a big ball. Similar to Fraser McGurk, just not as developed and not as come on the scene. I think when he was at Renegades early on, he was his next big thing, gun fielder. But Fraser McGurk took away his sort of. Fraser McGurk took it away from him, and now he's kind of in that shadow area below Fraser McGurk, so it's probably not there. Jason Sanger's handy enough. He's been playing a lot of cricket. He's been there for many years. And it'll be interesting. They have some of the fastest bowlers in Australian cricket right now. You think Spencer Johnson and Henry Thornton, who bowl 150 clicks. Can they use them effectively during this Sheffield Shield season and be able to put teams under pressure with pure pace? We know people can bat, but adding that pace makes it another element. You see in world cricket right now with Norkia, Mark Ward, Harris Ralph, batsmen struggle a little bit more against express pace. You can see their footwork's a little bit more off. They're a bit different to quicks. Can South Australia use these two and be able to dominate batsmen during the year, especially on the fast, hard, bouncy Australian wickets? Tasmania pick up two big names of the off-season of Matt Kuhneman and Will Pretchwood. I think Matt Kuhneman is a red ball machine at the moment in the Shield, probably one of the best spinners in red ball cricket in the Shield, apart from probably Todd Murphy. And they lose Sam Rainbird, who retires, Matthew Wade retires, and the delisting of Paddy Dooley. I don't see anything wrong with Paddy Dooley. I think he just misses a spot here due to Matt Kuhneman coming in, which is a shame to see. Obviously, we know he can play. He dominated his first year in the BBL. He was a mystery spinner almost, and people struggle to pick him because of his weird and unique action. But look at the squad here. You got Billy Stanlake, who's been bailing injuries last year. Jake Weatherall, who hasn't been himself the last couple of years. Can Jake Weatherall bounce back this year? Obviously, we know what Jake Weatherall can bring. He hits a massive ball in the short form. Can he improve his mindset to be able to hold the longer formats and be able to bat for longer, mega hundreds? Or is he still that T20 player that can just whack him? But he hasn't been himself the last couple of years. He needs to get back to that form. And hopefully Tasmania can help him bring that back after he left South Australia, obviously, for the move. Bo Webster, who was the best all-rounder in the Shield last year. He took heaps of wickets, made almost top 10 in runs, I think, and he went down as one of the best players in the Shield. And I think if he has another big year, I don't see him far away from, if Cam Green doesn't perform, could he be that next all-rounder for Australia? Victoria don't get much this year, though. They lost Nick Madison, Travis Dean got delisted, but there's one big name here they brought in, and it's Josh Brown. And if you don't know who Josh Brown is in cricket, you don't follow cricket enough. This bloke hits a massive, massive ball. Think of prime Chris Lynn sort of big. He whacks him, and I think he'll do wonders for this Victorian Sheffield team in the shorter formats, the one day and the T20 comp. Shield cricket, not too sure. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. I don't think they'll play much in the Shield cricket. But they got to find two new batsmen, because Travis Dean gone, who opened the bat for them, and Nick Madison, who was their best bat last year. Is it Tom Rogers who steps up? Is it Sam Harper? Is it Pete Hanscom takes a new step? Is it Ash Chandrasinghe who steps up and plays that number 3 role? He can. We've seen in the past he can. He's probably one of the next up-and-coming bats in Australian cricket. But can he take that next step with Nick Madison being out, with Travis Dean being out? And I think that'll be the deciding point of his career if he's able to do that this year. And Victoria will need it. Is he the man to do it? We'll find out in the first couple of games, but I don't think you can put your money on him. Marcus Harris is still there, who's been the talk of will he return to Australia. I don't see it happening. But now can he go dominate the Shield and prove the Australian people wrong? He acted last year and he didn't. So it'll be good to see where his mind's at. He needs to be able to take his game one step further, but he just hasn't been able to. And to close it off, the powerhouse in Shield cricket, and that is Western Australia. They lose Ashton Agar, Jason Berendorf, Josh Philippi, Marcus Stoinis, and Andrew Tye. That's a big 5 out. In terms of Shield cricket, Agar, Berendorf, Tye, Philippi, that's a big 4 out of your team. And it doesn't get replaced by much. It gets replaced by Brodie Crouch, who was delisted from Victoria 2 years ago, who bowls around mid 140, so maybe he could replace Andrew Tye. Baxter Holt, yeah, no, there's not much replacement there, I think, for any of those 4. So who's going to do it? Can Darcy Short do it? If Cam Green's not in Australia, can Cam Green do it? Cam Bancroft just dominated last year. I don't see him doing anything wrong this year. Cooper Conley, though, this kid's good. And I feel like he could be the man to help their batting. But I don't see where the bowlers come in. Obviously, you got Jai Richardson, who's very injury prone. Ashton Turner is there and thereabouts. Joel Parrish. Teague Wiley, who's one of the best up-and-coming kids as well. So it'll be interesting seeing how Western Australia fixed the loss in bowlers. The bats are there, and they've dominated the Shield cricket last 2 years. It'll be good to see how they use their bowlers, though, this year. But that's enough for me today. Thank you for joining. We will cover the World Cup next month. That's a big month for us. And obviously, stay tuned. We'll have a game day vlog and whatnot, all the good stuff out. If you do enjoy, please follow our socials, and I will see you all next time. Thank you.